We are here almost live with Brooke Smith, who has the beautiful photography book of her work documenting the hardcore New York scene, New York punk scene, and in the 80s, right?
Yeah. Yep. The 80s. We were there, apparently.
Yes, we were there. We will talk about this more, but it is absolutely gorgeous, and it's coming out on Radio Raheem.
Yeah. Radio Raheem. They're publishing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And first of all, I knew you before I knew that we intersected in this hardcore punk scene. Do you want to just briefly break down what it was?
Oh, Lord. I'm not an expert, but the hardcore scene that I was a part of was all CBGB's, A7. It was all East Village in the 80s, and they were all New York bands, the New York scene was at least. Agnostic Front and cro-mags and bands like that. So,
When I got into punk, there was this new wave scene, and there were these older kids hanging out at like Max's Kansas City and Mud Club, and that kind of shifted. That their what was it called, Ferrucci's, right?
oh,
They
yeah,
were-
Fiorucci's.
yeah, and they were like all into that. I remember someone's older sister, and I was in seventh grade. She had a Elvis Costello, and I was like, "Wait, there's Elvis and there's Costello. I don't get the intersection there." It was like confused me, but I thought, "Oh wow!" And you didn't have Reese's peanut butter cups then.
Yeah, exactly. So you couldn't possibly understand.
Right? It's like, wait a minute. And this scene that was very organic to New York, very locale specific, and it was a lot more dirtier.
Yeah, that DIY element, yeah, of everybody, putting bands together, even if you couldn't sing or play an instrument.
Right,
Uh,
right.
yeah, and just that energy and that. Also, I've been thinking about it a lot and thinking about how we felt like we owned that city, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. So nice.
It's important to remember that at the time, you could be attacked for being a punk, and all that took was like wearing. I remember I'd walk around in a pea coat with a badge on and straight leg jeans with combat boots, the cuff rolled up, and a a dog collar and a spiked bracelet, and that was it. That's all you need. You didn't need like a mohawk or anything, and people would spit at you and attack you.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Now it's very chic.
Now it's passe. It's like, um but you were there. What year? How did you get into the scene?
I grew up in Rockland County near Nyack, and
Mhm.
my mom and dad, they both worked in the city, so they were there every day. And I don't know what I said it in the book, and I really meant it. I don't know what made me go there, but I went downtown, and I just kept walking further east, like that. It just
Wow.
the more east I went.
And set the scene of what Alphabet City, what that was like.
It was pretty crazy, right? I mean, there's that thing, I wish I could quote it, that John Joseph always says, what A is, oh God, I should have
Oh
prepared.
yeah, it's a good one.
That one, and B is your, bold, C is your crazy, D is your dead.
Mhm.
Something
Yeah.
like that, you know. Yeah, it was nuts. It was really crazy. But I also remember being a really little kid and driving through the Bronx with my mom because she was such a maniac, and if there was any traffic, she would go around. Um, and literally remember it being like on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just a totally different time. I don't know how anyone now could really imagine it, right?
So, but you went there and you became a part of it. It resonated. I mean, we had this conversation that for kids who that spoke to them, what the rage that was expressed, and it was usually political, and then there were some people that were singing about their families. It was definitely resistance to um, it was definitely a straight out rebellion of the whole hippie, no, and peace and love does not work, but it's the idea of we want to change shit. But when it just captured somebody up, there had to be some kind of like usually I'd say 99.9% of the time there was some trauma there, or there was something fucked up that had happened.
Remember that book in the, I don't know when this is, I'm so bad with years, but maybe in the 90s, was it the Clan of the Cave Bear?
Yeah,
Remember?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and how you recognize your tribe, and you don't really know what it is. And I remember being little and or little teenager and thinking if I felt really strong feelings for someone, then they were the one, or what, whatever it
Right,
was. I
right.
just felt completely drawn to them and assumed it was sexual, perhaps because of my own trauma. Um, and anyway, I do think it's interesting that we did all share that. We either a lot everybody had alcoholic parents, or so many were sexually abused, uh,
Right.
or physically abused, or both. Or and I was saying to you when we spoke the other day, we never talked about it. At least I never did. And now, all these years later, the ones who've survived have some of them written books, and I was just blown away by that being a common theme. You know, Specifically sexual abuse. I was surprised. I don't know why. I don't know why I was surprised by it. I guess I'm always surprised that there's so much of it.
I wasn't surprised. I mean, I really I I knew it. I mean, it was what I was those were the stories I was writing about and telling, and I think because I spoke to people on the phone, they would often tell me stuff that they would reveal.
Oh, that's
Where
interesting.
I was safer to
Yeah.
tell, but even the way that they would talk about there was an internalized um, homophobia because so many of them had been molested, and in the hardcore scene, you had a lot of these skinheads who were queer bashing, rolling queers, and they it was, and a lot of them were tricking to survive.
Yeah.
The thing that's just it's so powerful is that when I was looking at your book and seeing the pictures really are so deeply emotional. Well, seeing those girls with those babies, it was the archetype. I mean, it was the truth of for so many kids that it's let me bring something that I can love and will get me attention and I can do better than what was done and I can protect. And um it was it's very poignant to see that played out when I know that was the path I was going on, and so many people, uh, that was the height of it, of like bringing your baby to be a punk scene and be part of the squad. How did you decide now to bring these out finally?
Well, I mean, I just know that when I was moving, I found a box of photos, and I had a friend over, and he saw them, and he was really blown away by them. And he didn't grow up in New York, but I think he was maybe a fan of those bands when he was, growing up wherever he was growing up. And he asked if he could show them to a curator friend, which sounded really fancy. And I was like, okay, go right ahead. And next thing you know, I had a show in New York. And it's funny to me that I didn't think they were anything special, really, the photos. Not really. And then when I started looking at them, I kind of, I don't know, it's almost like I didn't take them. Like I almost discovered them fresh and could look at them that way. But I was just thinking about how part of the thing of taking photographs is similar to acting for me, of actually losing yourself.
Right, completely.
Okay, well,
Right.
so you get it. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's
it
the
is.
best feeling ever for me, like to be right there in the
Mhm.
action and like getting it, but like, and being it, but not, yeah,
But
yeah,
you're protected. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You're capturing it and you're of it. but but it's not you,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you're fitting yourself in.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. I just know those are my favorite moments when I'm acting, for sure, is where I'm gone, you know?
And how did you get the camera?
I got it from my mom. God, when did I first start taking pictures? That was it. That was it because I don't think I really took photos before that. And I remember it was the only class I liked in high school, Tappan Zee High School.
Mhm.
And it was photography. So I had this Minolta. It was my mom's old camera, and I would get stoned and go into the dark room at school. It was the only place I could deal with at school. And then when I started going to these shows, I just wanted to capture it. I just wanted to capture the people and the world and the music. Somehow.